In the world of mental health, trust is everything. People step into therapy rooms carrying secrets, pain, and the hope of healing. But what happens when that trust, the very foundation of therapy, is shattered? Hello, welcome to Crime Bytes, a show where we talk about some truly bizarre and disturbing crime cases. My name is Eliza. Let me see if I can get Detective Scooty Boo over here. Today is True Crime Tuesday. Got me begging snacks. How is it September, or the end of September already? There he is. Is it just me with that? Ugh. Today we are looking at a female therapist who blurred lines and took advantage of her position. But before we get into it, let's pause for a quick promotion. It's fall again, like we just said. So I'm wearing my Just Strong training shirt one more time before I break out my hoodie. We're right in that in-between weather up here in New England, and I kind of like it, but I'm really not a winter gal, so yeah, I'm feeling this message. I am just strong, I think. Yeah, no, I am. I'm just strong. And if you are too, and you like this look, you can head to juststrong.com, use this coupon code for an additional 10% off your order. It ties into my little channel update as well. I've been on point for over a year now with my weekly casts, and I've grown quite a bit. So thank you to everyone who subscribes. We hit 15,000 subscribers, and let's just say my goal for this year that I thought wasn't attainable was 5,000. So thank you. That being said, I've briefly touched on religion, mostly when I talk about cults and cult cases, and I've explained my religious background or touched on it and how it's affected me. And then I reviewed The Case for Christ, which is a book. I can leave a link to that episode in the description. But I wanted to explore the execution of Jesus Christ from the perspective of an innocent person getting the death penalty, which, I mean, even from a secular perspective, I think we can mostly all agree that that's what happened. Anyhow, my point is, a question brought up in that book is, if this is real, if you believe this is real, what does that mean for you? And I've been low-key pondering that ever since. To be blunt, Charlie Kirk's assassination really kind of pushed me more spiritually, as it has with a lot of people I'm noticing. So I am reviving a second channel of mine. I'll leave a link to that in the description if you are interested. But in that one, I am going to explore spiritual issues, primarily demons and deliverance, but completely from a Christian perspective. So not for you if you don't think that way. I'm still going to do a case or two, maybe more than that, about demons for October on this channel. But my point is, I'm going to back off my weekly casts so that I can focus on my spiritual studies and continue to research the case that I do post to the best of my ability. So expect me on Tuesdays still, but not every Tuesday. And thank you in advance for your understanding. All right, with that, let's get into today's case. We're diving into the case of Kristina Daul, a Wisconsin therapist whose actions crossed ethical and legal lines, leaving behind broken trust, criminal charges, and a cautionary tale about power, vulnerability, and accountability. Kristina Marie Daul was a licensed professional counselor in Wisconsin, working with clients in the Milwaukee and Waukesha, those areas. On paper, she seemed to be what many struggling people needed: a credentialed therapist, someone who specialized in guiding individuals through substance abuse programs and court-ordered treatment. She was affiliated with, oh, there that word is again, Waukesha County Health and Human Services, which worked directly with clients navigating drug and alcohol treatment. But beneath that professional role, boundaries were about to collapse. In December of 2020, Kristina began counseling a woman who was part of the county's drug and alcohol treatment court program. This wasn't just therapy, it was therapy tied to the criminal justice system. High stakes, deeply personal, and with the client in a position of vulnerability. But instead of upholding professional ethics, Kristina decided to cross the line. What started as a therapeutic relationship quickly turned into something else. Court records show that between December of 2020 and June of 2021, Kristina engaged in a sexual relationship with her client. At first, the sexual encounters happened inside of her office. Witnesses later recalled seeing a "Do Not Disturb" sign on her door, even when no legitimate therapy session was happening. Soon, the meetings extended beyond the office to Kristina's home and to the client's home. This wasn't a one-time lapse. It was a pattern of exploitation stretching across months. The consequences went beyond the relationship itself. Investigators discovered that Kristina altered treatment plans for her client, sometimes in ways that mirrored the personal conflicts happening in their romantic relationship. In other words, professional documents meant to track recovery were distorted by her personal entanglement. And there was more. The client reported being exposed to other protected health records and information. The client reported being exposed to other protected health information, the confidential records of as many as 20 to 30 other clients. Confidentiality, one of the bedrocks of therapy, was broken wide open. Eventually, the truth surfaced, as it tends to. Kristina was charged with sexual exploitation by a therapist, which is a felony under Wisconsin law. In June of 2022, she pled guilty. She would receive 2 years in prison, 7 years of extended supervision, and 15 years on the sex offender registry. She was also ordered to surrender her professional licenses, and records show that her counselor credentials expired by early 2022. For the state of Wisconsin, the message was clear. Therapy is a scared space, and exploiting it carries serious consequences. The Kristina Daul case is shocking, but it isn't unique. Across the country, professional boards and law enforcement stress the same warning. Therapist-client sexual relationships are one of the gravest violations of ethics. And why? Because therapy isn't an equal partnership. One person holds authority, insight into trauma, and influence over the other. When a therapist crosses that line, it's not just an affair, it's an abuse of power. As of today, Kristina Daul's professional life has collapsed. She cannot legally practice, her name is tied to criminal conviction, and her story serves as a warning about what happens when professional boundaries dissolve. But for her client, and probably others whose confidentiality was breached, the damage can't be undone with sentencing. And the very thing so many of us turn to when things go wrong in our lives, therapy, was what caused the damage. So where can she go now? Trust once broken can take a lifetime to repair. The case of Kristina Daul reminds us that even those entrusted to heal us can cause us harm. That's why accountability from licensing boards, from courts, and from the community is so essential. If you or someone you know is in therapy and feels boundaries are being crossed, speak up. There are resources, advocacy groups, and licensing boards designed to protect clients. Because in the end, therapy should be a place of safety, not betrayal. All right, guys. I do have a case involving demons on deck, and it will not be ready for next week, but expect it on a future Tuesday. And until then, stay safe out there. Bye.